So, let's talk about something that's really complex and honestly pretty sensitive. It's the debate happening in India over the age of consent. And this isn't just about a number. No, it's about where law, love, and the need to protect children all collide. Let's get into it.
Okay, look at this. This is the heart of the problem, right here. In India, if two teenagers have a consensual relationship just one single day before one of them turns 18, the law calls it a serious crime. But the very next day, suddenly it's not a crime at all. It's this razor-thin line that creates a huge legal paradox with, life-altering consequences for young people.
So you have to ask, how did we get here? How did we get to a point where a teenage romance could potentially be classified as a crime? To understand that, we've got to dig into the legal framework that's causing all this.
All right, so the main law we're talking about here is the Protection of Children from Sexual Offenses Act. You'll hear it called the POCSO Act. Now, this is a gender-neutral law, and it was created with a really important goal, to shield kids from harm. But its core principle is absolute. It says that anyone under the age of 18 is legally incapable of giving consent. So even if a 17-year-old genuinely and freely says yes, in the eyes of the law, that yes means absolutely nothing.
And this is where things get tricky. It's where the law really becomes a double-edged sword. I mean, it was created with the best of intentions, right? To protect vulnerable children. But in the real world, it's having some serious and pretty much unintended consequences. Let's unpack what those are.
So just to be super clear, the key term here is the age of consent. It's the legal line in the sand. And in India, that line is drawn firmly at 18. Before that birthday, any sexual activity is considered a crime, no matter what the circumstances are.
And look, this isn't just some hypothetical problem people are talking about. Even the Supreme Court of India has weighed in. The court itself has pointed out that the POCSO Act is being misused, especially in cases where families don't approve of a relationship. They can file charges, and they're basically weaponizing a protective law against two young people who are in love.
And the numbers? Well, they really back this up. A study looking at cases in 3 different states found that almost a quarter, nearly 1 in 4 cases filed under this act, were actually about consensual romantic relationships. Think about that. A law designed to stop predators is instead being used a huge amount of the time to prosecute teenage romance.
Which brings us to this massive dilemma, this tightrope walk. How does a society protect kids from real danger, from predators, without at the same time making criminals out of teenagers who are just, forming natural relationships? Where do you even begin to draw that line? Okay, so if the current system is causing these kinds of problems, what's the solution? This is where the debate gets really interesting, because a lot of people are starting to say the answer can't just be a simple number. We need a more nuanced approach.
The first thing you might think of is, well, why not just lower the age of consent to 16? It seems like a simple fix, right? I mean, with the internet and social media, a lot of people argue that teenagers are maturing faster these days. But is it really that simple?
Well, not quite. Lowering the age, it turns out, is incredibly risky. Child rights activists are really worried it could create a massive loophole for human traffickers. They could just claim a 16-year-old consented. And get this, research shows that more than half the time, abusers are people the child knows and trusts, family, teachers, neighbors. A lower age of consent could make it so much easier for them to pressure a child and then hide behind the claim that the child agreed.
So, if lowering the age is too dangerous, what's the alternative? This brings us to a really fascinating legal idea. It's called the Romeo and Juliet Clause, and it's a much more sophisticated solution that's already being used in countries like the UK, Canada, and Germany.
So here's how it works. Instead of focusing on one strict, arbitrary age, this clause looks at the age gap between the two people. So if you have two teenagers who are close in age, say a 16-year-old and a 17-year-old, the law doesn't treat it as a crime. But if that age gap is really wide, like a 16-year-old and a 30-year-old, then the law steps in and presumes its potential exploitation. It shifts the whole focus from a number to the actual context of the relationship. Pretty smart, right?
So you'd think, with a clever idea like that on the table, the path forward would be clear, right? Well, not exactly. The truth is, even India's top legal and governmental experts are completely divided on where we should draw this line. And the disagreement is just stark. You've got the highly respected Justice Verma Committee, which recommended lowering the age to 16. But then, on the other side, you have multiple parliamentary committees and the Law Commission of India pushing back hard. They argue we have to keep it at 18 to protect against child marriage and exploitation. So among the experts, there's just no consensus at all.
And so that's really what this all boils down to. It leaves us with this final crucial question. Should the law be built around a single fixed number, where literally one day can turn love into a crime? Or should it be more flexible, more intelligent, and able to tell the difference between a predator and a peer? That's the question India is still trying to answer, and whatever they decide will shape the lives of millions of young people.